Hi, I'm Rachel from Plot Australia. Welcome to Kids Go Wild School Holiday Program, thanks to Ipswich City Council. Today we are making our very own mini worlds. So we've got some really cool little activity kits for you guys. And at home, just make sure you've got as well some scissors, some warm water, so about 200 ml, and a bowl, a tablespoon, a paintbrush, and if you have a drinking straw, that's awesome too. Not crucial though, so don't panic. And also some gloves. Okay, let's get started. So we've got our kit here that you should have received. If you haven't got a kit and you're just playing along, joining us online, I'll show you what we've got. So we've got a little succulent. You can use other different plants as well, but today we're doing succulents in our mini worlds. A glass jar, so we'll unwrap that soon. Some thick fabric, so something like canvas or denim, just a little square of scraps. We're using grow pellets, but you can also use succulent potting mix. And we've got a bag of sand, and drainage rocks and decorative pebbles. So to make the terrariums, terrarium just means like a land aquarium. That's where the word comes from. But basically it's your own little mini world. So also as well at home, grab a couple of little figurines. So maybe you've got some little dinosaur toys or fairies or Lego animated creatures, whatever toys you've got, as long as it can fit in the jar, that's cool to include. Now there's a couple of different types of terrariums. You can have closed systems, which are really amazing. They have the lid on them and they're just a closed environment. And the water from the plant actually just stays in the jar and it makes its own little environment, and the humidity falls on the top of the lid and then it waters itself. So you can make a closed terrarium and shut the lid and it can be closed for years. It's really amazing. But the plants we're using today are succulents. They don't like that really warm, moist environment. So we are going to make an open terrarium. So we're going to keep the lids off. But if you've got some moss or ferns at home, they go really well in terrariums. So after you make this one, you might like to make a closed system one. So grab your jar, and these are all wrapped in bubble wrap. With all your plastics from today's class, we tried not to use too much, but you can take that to soft plastics recycling at Coles and Woolies so it doesn't just end up in the bin. So we've got our beautiful glass jars. You can use any glass jar that you've got at home. These ones just are really great because they've got a wide mouth that you can stick your hand in easily. So with your glass jar, you can build your terrarium to be standing straight up, or you can build it to the side like I've done with this one. So I'm going to do it to the side because I think it looks cool. So starting off with the jar, the first thing we want to do is find your drainage rocks, and we're going to add about 2/3 in. So open that little packet. Now, if you're joining in at home, you probably want maybe 200 grams of rocks to pop in. So I'm going to add them in the bottom. So keep a little bit at the base, that's great. And basically what we're doing is just making a little spot at the bottom. Because it's a terrarium, it doesn't have the drainage holes at the bottom. So we're making a little spot for the water to pool so it doesn't get stuck on the plant roots. One other thing we need to do now, just so it has time to get ready, is if you've got the kits, we're using grow pellets instead of potting mix. So open that bag. And these, you probably might have seen them in the Woolies promotion last year. They're these cool little pellets that we pop in a bowl and add warm water to. So we'll do that over on the side, and add about 150 ml of warm water. Let's see. And they will just soak that up while we're doing the rest. That's 150. Cool. So that is just, those pellets are just going to soak up that water while we're working on this. If you're not using the grow pellets at home, just make sure you buy a succulent potting mix. So back onto the glass jar, we've got our drainage rocks at the bottom, and then what we're going to do is create a false base. So with the canvas, grab your scissors, and we're going to cut that into a circle to just pop on top of the rocks. And that's just it's not gonna totally stop the plant roots from going down to the water well at the bottom, but it'll be a little bit of a deterrent. So we'll see how that goes. It's a bit big. I'll cut it down a little bit more because it kind of looks nicer on the side if you can't see your canvas material. Cool, that's pretty good. All right, so we've made our false bottom. The next thing we need to do is pop the rest of the drainage rocks just on top. So just to weigh that down a bit. And if you're using a jar that's like this one, got a narrow mouth, it might be easier instead of putting your hand in to use your spoon or something to help. Cool. So that is my drainage section at the bottom of the terrarium. The next thing I want is the soil for the plant to grow in. So my my grow pellets over here are starting to break down. You can use your spoon to break them up a bit more. And you've also got the soil in the bottom of your plant. So we might start with that. Pop our gloves on. Give these a bit of a helping hand. To break up a bit more. If when you're making your terrarium, if you get some soil on the side of the glass jar or in the plant, don't worry about that. I'll show you how to clean that up at the end. So I'm just helping my grow pellet soak up that a bit quicker. All right, I'll let that soak up. Oh, that's pretty good now that I've crumbled it. So because this is actually really wet, we're not going to have to water it at the end because it's got heaps of moisture in here, and succulents don't like having really wet feet. So I'm going to pop a bit of sand in as well. If you're using a succulent mix, you don't need to do that. Your potting mix will already be well drained enough. But this is just to make these grow pellets a bit more of a friendly mix for succulents. Okay, this is not a cooking show. That does not look appetizing. All right, so we've got our nice potting mix happening here. I'm going to spoon just a little bit of this on the bottom of the drainage rocks, because remember you've got the soil in with your plant as well. So you don't want to fill the jar right up to the top. Okay, when we're getting our plant out, so just do little squeezes around the outside, and then really gently you can put your hand on the top, give it a little pat on its bottom, and it should slip out easy. Okay, now we've got heaps of mix at the base of this one. I'm just letting it loosely fall down until I've got the plant. Oops, there's a little leaf. We'll keep him because I'll show you how to grow that into another succulent. So that potting mix, I haven't pulled it off, I've just let it fall away. So that's its roots. So now I'm going to really carefully pop him in, and I'm just going to position that around where I want my plant to be. I kind of want him to be in the middle. That's pretty good. And yeah, don't worry if you get soil and potting mix everywhere. I'll show you how to clean it up at the end. So if you can, with one hand, hold him there. And then you want to backfill with the soil all around him. This can be a little bit fiddly. If you need to get a parent or one of your grown-ups to help you, go for it. But you actually might be great at it because you might be able to fit your hand in the jar really easily. Okay. Oh yay, okay. That one's standing up by himself now. Woohoo! Now I've got heaps of potting mix in with my plant, so I might not even need much of this pellet one. See how you go. If you've got some leftovers, you might be able to make another terrarium with another jar you've got lying around. Ask your mum, pull up one of the plants out of the garden. All right. Okay, so we don't want to heaps fill up this. Have a look from the side. That's looking pretty good. Okay. All right, pretty happy. I'm just pushing down a little bit with the soil so it stands up on his own. Yay, okay. Tiny bit more. And you can use the back of the spoon to get around to the back of the jar. Pat it down a bit more. Cool. So if you have a look on the side now, you should see your drainage pebbles and then your soil. And we're going to do another layer on top. And this is our sand layer. This is just going to kind of make it look nice. Actually, before we do that, we've also got some decorative pebbles. So check out what you've got in your box. Everyone's got a few different ones. And awesome. I've got a few nice big rocks and a few little small ones. So like you can see on here, I'm going to pop, just before I do the sand, I'm going to pop my big rock at the back just to help this guy stand up a bit. And then that rock will be covered, there we go, by sand a little bit, which will make it look cool. All right, now for our last layer, the sand. So you don't have to do heaps of sand if you want. This one I've got sand all around on the top just because I think it looks good. And my 4-year-old did this one. He just did rocks on the top because that's what he decided to do. So it's up to you what you like the look of. I like the sand on the top. I think it looks cool. And succulents kind of come from a sandy, rocky place out in the landscape. And what we're doing is making a little mini landscape. So I'm going to pop some more sand. See how you go. You might need your back of your spoon to get right up the back. All right, this is looking good. All right, now don't worry about the sand if it's getting on the plant. We'll fix that at the end. All right. Okay. This is like Okay, cool. So I've got my sand on my top layer, and then you've got the rocks. So however you want to place them, I'm going to have this guy right up the back. And then your little mini figurines you can place in as well. I'll just smooth the sand down a bit more. This guy up the front. Take my gloves off now. So now, depending on what, I'm just going to steal this one's little dinosaur. You can pop your little mini figurine in wherever you would like. I'm going to have a little stegosaurus guy. Now we've got to clean it all up. I would love to see some pictures on how you guys are going at the end. If you could pop a photo on, tag me on Plot Australia and tag Ipswich City Council, we would love to see. So I'm just dusting the outside off with my paintbrush, and then I will get busy on the inside. All right. So I'll make it look, get all the sand off the glass first, and then we'll deal with the plant. So this is real delicate stuff. And you should be able to see some cool layers on the side of your terrarium. So, this looks pretty on this side. So we got the nice drainage rocks, potting mix, and the sand. I think that's as much as I'm getting off with the paintbrush. Now, if you've still got a little bit of mix on your plants or in the back corner where you can't get your paintbrush, that's where a drinking straw comes in real handy. So it's just like your little mini blower, and you just blow all the sand off. This is especially good for on the plants. I can get a bit more off with the paintbrush, I think. Nice. So yeah, if you need to get some more off your plants, it's a game of angles. Yay, so we're pretty much done. Great. Cool, so that's my nice little terrarium. So how to look after this guy. So succulents, they like it really dry. That's why we've made a real importance of doing the drainage levels. So you definitely don't want to put heaps of water in this. This one, I actually watered when I made it 3 weeks ago. I just tipped a tiny little bit of water in, tipped it in until I could see water was just starting to trickle down at the rock station, and then I stopped watering it, and that was 3 weeks ago, and I haven't watered it since because I can see that there's heaps that's all dark. When you can see the sand start to turn dry, like the dry sand at the beach, then you know, okay, I'll pop a little bit more water in. But yeah, the number one thing is don't overwater it. Every couple of weeks, have a look. Because this is an open terrarium, you might get some bugs or some cool things start making this their little home. So that's all good. But if you think that the bugs are starting to eat the plant or not really go well with the plant, the good thing with this is it's a little portable garden. So you can just take the whole thing into your garden centre near you if you need to, and be like, ask someone there, excuse me, I'm not sure if these bugs are good for my plant or not, and they can tell you what to do. But yeah, the number one thing is don't overwater it. Just pop it in a really well lit area, so maybe your outdoor table or kitchen window. It's not so much a problem over like winter, school holidays, but in summer you wouldn't want to put this in the full sun out all day because it can get really, really hot in there. So that's our mini terrariums. I would love to see pics of how you guys go. And yeah, you can use whatever little different figurines are in there, change it up a bit. Oh, and I won't forget to mention, if you have a leaf that drops off, succulents are amazing. And if you just pop that on the top, you can put it in here, or if you want to put it in a pot outside somewhere, this little leaf baby will actually start to grow another succulent itself. So then you can make more terrariums. So I'll pop that on the side, see if he starts to grow. So I would love to see your creations. Hope you've had fun on our Kids Go Wild program today. Bye.